Hey everyone, it's Paul Stevens here again with iGo Sales and Marketing. Today's development tutorial is going to be on how to use the version 4 API from SuiteCRM to push leads from Gravity Forms into SuiteCRM. So this is it's a hands-on tutorial. Also, I'd like to remind you, if you go to my blog post below, you can go and get the instructions for all the things that we talk about. And also, I created a little plugin that you can just install in your WordPress, so you get all the code that we're going to use today, and it might make it a little bit easier for you to just follow along or try and implement this yourself. It's a good exercise, and hopefully you enjoy it. So in addition to that, please like and subscribe down below if you can. It really helps me out, helps my video get more viewers, and it helps me, get some motivation to make some more videos. So please, if you like the video, do so. Remember, as always, I do this for a living, help people all the time implement SuiteCRM, train their salespeople, set up the sales automations for them, do integrations, all this kind of stuff. So if you need that, my link's down below. You can always reach out to me and have a chat with me, and I'll see if I can help you. Okay, so let's get into what we're going to do today. So there's a few things that we're going to need to make this happen. I'm just going to move myself out of the way here. Whoop. Okay, so the first thing is I've already set up a form. Okay, so if you go ahead and do that, and again, if you follow along in the tutorials in the blog post that goes along with this, it'll sort of tell you some basic things to set up. So I've set up a form. I'm going to just go into my dashboard here and pick the form, just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so I've set up a name, first and last, email address, company name, phone, and questions. Okay, so a couple things to note. If we go up in the URL and have a look here, or on the previous page, it'll tell us that this form ID is form 11. Okay, that's important. We're going to need that for the code. Okay, the other thing is when you hover or when you select any one of these, it will tell you for this field what the ID of the field is. Okay, so sorry, it was behind my camera here. Right here in the right hand side under the field settings is where you will see the ID of the field that we are trying to import here. Okay, so you'll see this one is ID 1, this one is ID 3, this one is ID 4, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to note is this name field is a little bit different. Well, it's ID 1, it has subfields. So like the salutation, the first name, the last name, the middle name, all have different references. Anyway, when we get to the code, I'll show you that, but that's going to be important. Okay, so basically create a form. Hopefully, if you are watching this video, you already know how to create a Gravity form, and I don't have to go through all that. I just wanted to highlight some of those things. The other thing is I've created a page and I put the form on the page. Okay, so we're ready to go here. I can get onto the rest of the video here. So let's get into the code here. All right, so if you install the plugin that I sent you, okay, if you go to your file system here, I'm using a code editor, I'm using Notepad++, but you can use any code editor that you like. So I'm in WP Content, Plugins, and the SuiteCRM 4.1 GF API plugin that, if you install the plugin that on my website, you will get this SuiteCRM GF 4.1.php. Okay, and that's what we're in here. So I'm going to just go over this briefly, because there are some things, if you're going to use it for your installation, you're going to have to check and change. Okay, so basically what's happening here is with 4.1 we need to get a session key. And if you remember in our last episode with using Postman, we had to first log in, and then the API returns a session key, and then all subsequent requests have to include that session key. So we need a function to get the session key, okay? So what we have here is the API URL, okay? And you're going to obviously have to change that to your API URL, okay? A couple things to note here. If you're using SuiteCRM 7 and some of the earlier versions of 8, your URL is going to be just /service version 4_1 REST API, okay? If you're using the latest version, that's 8.6, I think, that I'm on now, I just had this issue where you have to put either legacy service in the URL, or you have to work out some kind of 301 htaccess redirect in order to forward service to legacy service, okay? Either way, but if that sounds too complicated for you, put legacy in the URL here, okay? So that's a little bit different from the documentation on the SuiteCRM site because it doesn't specify that. I think it assumes that you have a proper htaccess redirect set up, although when you install SuiteCRM 8, it doesn't come with it. So it's a little bit confusing, but this will work. Okay, so then we need a username. So I would recommend in SuiteCRM you set up a username specifically for API. Okay, so don't use your administrator username. For a number of reasons. If it ever gets hacked, your whole, you kind of lose control of things. Also, if you set up a specific API user and it only has access to leads, you can modify, like you don't have to make it an admin, you can just make it a user who only has access to read and write leads, for example, okay? So you can control or limit your exposure there, okay? And then basically you have to put your password, okay? And you'll see it here, it says MD5. So, and again, I'm going to change my password after this because you're going to know what it is. But it's going to convert your password in PHP to an MD5 encrypted version. Anyway, it's not all that encrypted anymore these days, but you have to submit it in MD5, okay? So, just like we did in Postman, our login payload, so this is going to be like the JSON that we're submitting, okay? And it gets formatted in the right way that Postman would submit it in, okay? So the method is going to be login, input type JSON, response type JSON, and then our REST data array, okay, is the user authorization. It's going to get the username and the password, version 1.2, and then the application is going to be Gravity Forms, okay? So that's how it's going to get the login. So then it's going to receive a response, okay? So the body is going to be the login payload, and we've got some error logging here if, for example, it doesn't work and it doesn't get a login. Okay, so it's going to decode the login body, and it's going to, from that, get our session ID. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Okay, and then, again, obviously if it doesn't, it's going to error log out and say it failed to retrieve the, body response, right? Okay. So that's just getting the authentication token. Okay, so now that we have the token, whenever Gravity Forms submits a form, we can use a hook in Gravity Forms to hook into that and sort of get in the middle of that, if that makes sense. And again, I'm explaining this. I know there are developers watching probably who know exactly what I'm talking about, and then there are people who are new to developing who don't know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm trying to, because I'm fairly new to some of this stuff too, so I'm trying to explain it in a wide range. But so the hook here is going to say after the Gravity Form submission, we are going to call our function, which is push a lead to SuiteCRM. Okay? So the key thing here is what form ID is it? Okay, so this is specific to one form ID. So you want to pick, like we did in Gravity Forms, if I go to the form and look in my URL here, I can see this is form ID 11. Okay, so again, you're going to want to use your form ID. Okay, and all you do is just change that value 11 to 1 or 5 or 27 or whatever form it is. Okay, leave the rest the same. And then in the function that it's going to call, so it's going to call this function push lead to SuiteCRM. Okay, so we're going to use the session ID, so it's going to get the SuiteCRM session ID, which is our previous function. Okay, and it's going to return the session ID. Excuse me. So then it's going to say, like, if we have a session ID, okay, because if we don't, there's no point trying to send stuff, right? We are going to get the lead data. Okay, so the lead data is going to come, is going to be what we're going to send to in the API request. Okay, so the method is set entry, and again, we did this in Postman last time. So set entry, JSON, and then the rest data is we're going to JSON encode what we get from Gravity Forms. Okay, so the module name is going to be leads. The session is going to be the session ID. Sorry, I had to pause for a second there and get a drink of water. It's super dry up here. It's like I'm from Canada. It's like minus 20 and the air is super dry. So we left off here at leads, and the name value list, again, just like we pushed in Postman, we want the first name, and what's going to happen is we're going to get that first name from Gravity Forms, okay, and we're going to get it from the field 1.3. Okay, so remember I mentioned that the first name and the last name, they're both field 1, but there's multiple subfields. So the first name is 0.3 and the last name is going to be 0.6. So it doesn't matter if your first name is field 7, it'll be 7.3 and 7.6. Okay, so then we want to get the email. Okay, and the email is our field ID number 3. And just to recap, how do we know this? If we go to our form, we go to email, and we'll see in the corner here that it's ID number 3. Okay, so again, you're going to want to change these to your field values, right? And the same thing, phone work, description, and then I'm going to push something that's not on the form, but I'm going to push the lead source to be website. Okay, so whatever value it is in SuiteCRM, that's what we're pushing. So we're going to push the lead source field to be website. Okay, and if you want to add more fields than that, just follow the same format here. Okay, so if you're getting it from the form, it has to be, you know, first of all, what is the field in SuiteCRM? Okay, so, and it has to be the exact field name, not like the label, but the name. Okay, so you'll notice here, like, it's email 1 and it's account underscore name. Okay, so you can find that in SuiteCRM, and then basically make sure you get the value, and then RGAR entry, and then the number of the field that you want to retrieve from Gravity Forms. Okay, and if it's not a field from Gravity Forms, you can follow this example here and just populate it with whatever you want. Like maybe this comes from a landing page for your landing page for widgets. Okay, so you might want to, maybe you have a field in SuiteCRM that says service interest equals widgets, right? Okay, so you would want to do something like this and just populate it with widgets. Okay, so that's how it gets the data and sends it to SuiteCRM. So now it's going to go and connect. Again, make sure you put in here your URL, not my URL. And if it's SuiteCRM 8, legacy service, and if it's not SuiteCRM 8, you can take out the legacy. And then again, if it doesn't happen, it errors out. And finally, it's going to decode the response and then send that response to your log. Okay, so that's basically how all that works. It's fairly straightforward. If, for example, you have more than one form, you can like duplicate this function here and just change out the form ID. Okay, so if you go to my blog, I'm not going to cover that here, but on my blog it explains how you can add another form into this. Okay, so basically you would copy and paste this function here, and you would create a new one just for every form kind of thing, right? Okay, so anyway, explain that blog, go to my blog, follow through on the instructions there, and as well download the plugin, and you'll get all this code to work with. Okay, so let's just go back to our SuiteCRM here. Okay, and then I have SuiteCRM 8. I'll just bring it over. Okay, and I'm just going to sort this by date created. I already did, but just so we'll watch it it happen in real time here. Okay, so I'm going to say Paul test and Jan 24, Paul testing 24. Okay, email, I'll go Paul testing 24 at igosalesandmarketing.com. Okay, I go testing. Okay, oops. And then I'll just put a phone number in. Okay, just like that. Whoop. Just like that. I can't remember if I have phone number validations on, so I think any phone number will work, but just in case. So then my question is, I'm, whoops, in SuiteCRM consulting. Okay, and then I'm going to submit that. Okay, and if everything works out okay here, I'm just going to go back to my SuiteCRM, refresh the leads. And you'll see there's my lead. Okay, so you can see there's my first name, last name, the phone number that I entered, and the description that I entered is in the description. Actually, I could probably clean that up a little bit. So basically, I could put something in the PHP to clean that up, because basically the apostrophe M, it's sending it as like HTML. But I could put something in the PHP to clean that as well. Anyway, there are a million ways to do this. I'm just trying to have a tutorial here for you. So basically, you can see it all works. And again, you could, for something like that, if the result is not working out, you could put something in before, like for example, that's the description field. You could put something in here, like a PHP function that cleans the HTML and converts it to text or something. Okay, so you could deal with that issue there. Okay, you can see my status is new and my lead source is website, which is what I want it to be. Okay, and it was just created. All right, so that's how that all works. That's the end of this session. If you liked it, if it was helpful, please like and subscribe down below. It really helps me grow my channel. And if you want me to help you with integration, training, general SuiteCRM automation, I can help you with that. My contact information will be down below as well. And our next session hopefully is going to be on Postman and the version 8 API. So the version 4 API that we just completed works great, but the version 8 is a little more secure because the connection method is a little bit different. So, but the reason I covered 4.1 is there are still lots of applications that use 4.1. Okay, so we're going to cover version 8 next time, and then after that, we'll cover version, the GraphQL version. Okay, hope you like the video. Like and subscribe. See you next time.